The following podcast is a production of the Podpire Network. Find and listen to our podcasts at thepodpirenetwork.com or wherever you enjoy your podcast. The Podpire Network, a family of inspired podcasts.
Why are there so many videos out lately with parents going in on each other in front of their kids? Who in the heck is videotaping this foolishness? Because sometimes I don't see a camera in either parent's hand. So I hope it was a spoof. But realistically and unfortunately, these are not spoofs. They're just some real ratchet parents doing some real ratchet things. And one thing I saw again this week was there's an old disturbing video of a parent purposely cutting her child's hair to get back at the daddy. Yes, cutting the girl's hair in public in a public parking lot. Now you tell me if parenting hasn't fell by the wayside, because I really don't know. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my people. You are now rocking with Jay Riggins, and this is the Unapologetic Relationship Podcast brought to you by the fine folks at the Podpire Network. And we will get into this great episode that will probably make some folks mad. But before you get mad, let's pay some bills. We're back, people, and thanks for joining us. I hope everyone is doing well. There's a chapter in my book called Using Your Kids as Weapons, where I talk about many situations where parents use kids as weapons towards their ex, right? Before the break, I was talking about a video of a mother cutting a little girl's braids out, her hair, after the father had brought the little girl back to the mother after his visitation. I'm assuming they had joint custody. So during his little visiting time, he took his daughter to get her hair braided, right? And brought her back to the mother. Nothing wrong with that. Seems innocent. Until he brings her back to the mother. Once they get in the parking lot, now he's videotaping the whole thing with his, cell phone. Once he gets to the parking lot and the mother sees the little girl's hair braided, nicely braided, I might add, she has a fit. She goes in her purse, or in her car, wherever she got these scissors from. I don't look like they magically appeared. But anyway, she went and got her scissors and continued to cut the little girl's braids out in front of the father, right? And the whole time the little girl is crying and pleading with her mom, stop it. The dad is like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not hurting me. He's like, I'm Gucci. You're hurting our little girl. And why are you doing this? Right? So she proceeds to say, ain't no other bee gonna be touching my girl's hair and blah, blah, blah. First of all, there's men that braid hair too, right? How did you know it was another female that was braiding your little girl's hair? And why does it matter? I could see if the father was hurting the little girl or taking something that was, doing something to the little girl that was detrimental. Getting her hair braided is not hurting this little girl. You know what I'm saying? So this is my thing, because I know this particular video is like 2 years old. So this is old, but I have a chapter in my book called Using Kids as Weapons. And I had to talk about this video amongst other videos. It's not the only one, but this was like the most popular video. People still talking about it. It's, like I said, it's like 2 years old. Right. But there's women that clearly will say it's a respect thing because they've said it. I've seen the comments, previously 2 years ago when this video was posted. It's just a respect thing. She could at least asked her before he got her hair braided. Well, let me ask you this for the people who agree with her. Should she call him every time she gives her daughter a new hairstyle, whether it's a perm, whether it's braids? Should she call him, the husband or the ex, baby daddy, whatever he was to her, and say, hey, I'm about to get little Shay Shay's hair braided. I'm about to get little Shay Shay a perm. Why would it be one way and not the other? Because if you're saying he's wrong about not asking the mother about the child's hair, and it was women that saying comments like, well, she might have a certain way of just doing the child's hair on a regular basis, so she doesn't want braid. I'm pretty sure at some point this little girl had her hair braided. Stop it. She's a little black girl. I'm pretty sure at some point she done had her hair braided. But the mama was going on about it's too tight. You know, the hair was too tight and it was cutting into her skin or whatever. Some crap she was talking about. But it was so funny to me because as many people that were saying she was wrong, there were comments that were saying he should have asked permission. And I'm like, why would he ask permission to get his own daughter's hair braided? Like I said, it makes no sense. And I can guarantee it. Now it looks stupid on the other side. If the mama is calling the ex every time she does a different hairstyle to her daughter, that seems stupid. It seems petty. Correct? But it's okay for the mama to go ham because the father got the little girl's hair braided. And here's the thing. We all know that this had nothing to do with getting the hair braided. This had everything to do with the mother thinking that another chick put her hands on her little girl's hair and got her hair braided, and it wasn't her. So instead of her saying, don't do this again, you know what I'm saying? Don't get her hair braided without my permission, whatever. She has the right to say that. She goes and cuts the little girl's braids out on camera. And this video went viral. The little girl was crying and pleading, and I guarantee she's probably going to be scarred for life, to be honest with you, because this video was viral. You know what I'm saying? And just the fact that your mother is cutting your brand new fresh, and I'm pretty sure, you know how anybody, like dudes come out the barbershop, women come straight from the beauty salon, getting their nails done. We think we fly. We supposed to, right? So it is no different from a little girl getting her hair freshly braided to have some self-confidence. You know, to come out looking like, she thinks she looked like $1 million, and she's supposed to. She's a little girl. Until she gets to her own mother that cuts her braids out because she says she didn't want another B. And I'm trying not to cuss people, but you know what B mean. She didn't want another B putting her hands in her little girl's hair. Right? We know for a fact as adults, this had everything to do with jealousy. This had nothing to do with the permission. And like I said, for y'all that think that, she should have asked permission. Okay. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Every time she does a little girl's hair and gives her a perm or gives her braids or whatever, she should call the father and ask his permission. Correct? If that's what y'all think. But that shouldn't be the case because that's real petty. And we know this had everything to do with jealousy. We know this had everything to do with using that little girl as a weapon towards the daddy. She's mad at the daddy because she's visioning some chick, you know what I'm saying, with big chest and big booty and, doing her little girl's hair. And the daddy just sitting, he's sitting in the chairs like they do at the beauty salon or the barbershop, just smiling. She's picturing all that in her head. So she's not taking it out on the dad. She's taking it out on the little girl. And how often do exes take it out on their children? You know what I mean? She's not the first one, and she's not the last one. There was several videos that came out about this particular instance. Break. See, here's the thing. Parents have been using kids as weapons since the beginning of time. Guys been talking about, I ain't paying no child support because I can't see my kids, right? as if the kids know what child support is. They don't know where the money comes from. All they know is they're not seeing their daddy. So please, fellas, please don't use that as no reason why you ain't paying child support, because you can't see your kids. Because at the end of the day, the money is going towards them. Now, whether the mama uses it or what she's supposed to use it for, that's on her. You can't make that mama do what she's supposed to do. The courts can't even do that. The courts can't make the mama use the money for what it's supposed to be used for. That just takes integrity. That's integrity on the mama. And if she ain't got it, she ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? There's really not a lot that you can do about that other than get custody. But while she has custody, please don't say that I'm not paying child support because I can't see my kid. Because you know that ain't right. I grew up in a single parent home. I know how important child support is with a single mother raising 3 kids. And the child support she was getting paid was peanuts. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it was something. It was something to put food on the table, clothes on our back. You know, the court's going to decide how much child support to be paid, whether it's fair or not. But that's not up to us. Make sure you take care of you. Make sure you go see your kids and pay their child support. And for the ladies who say that you can't see your kids, telling their exes that they can't see their kids because they're not paying child support, you're just as wrong, right? Just because a guy doesn't pay child support, that's for the court to decide. Well, you know what I'm saying, what they're going to do about him. But for you to say that I'm not going to let you see your son or your daughter is wrong. Because here's the thing. That child's going to get to a certain age and realize the only reason why their daddy was around, because right now, as a young child, they're probably thinking, oh, my daddy just don't want to see me. So they're growing up with that. And you're allowing them to grow up with that issue, that they're thinking that their daddy don't want to see them or be around them. But that's not the case. You're keeping the daddy away because he ain't paying child support. Here's the thing. They're going to get to a certain age and they're going to have these grown folk conversations. By that time, their hurt is already set in, and they're going to feel a certain way when you tell them, yeah, your daddy was around. He just didn't pay child support, so I kept him away. How do you think they're going to feel later on? And I know you might not care about it when they're 2 or 3 or however old they are. But when they become an adult, they're going to start asking these adult questions. So you're just as wrong as not letting the dad see his child because he's not paying child support as he is not paying child support because he can't see them. And a whole other case, and I know, fellas, I had to include y'all because it's not just the women out in these streets that's doing these things. But there are a lot of issues with these moms. I'm going to put that out there because you got to think about it. Most of these moms have custody of these kids. I didn't grow up in a neighborhood where kids were raised by their dads. They were raised by the moms. You know, some was with their grandparents, you know, situations like that. But for the most part, they were raised by single parents. That was practically my whole neighborhood, you know. So ladies, I don't want you to think I'm beating up on you and just talking about mothers. But I do know for a fact there were mostly mothers raising kids, at least in my neighborhood, right? And there was things like, I know this for a fact because I went through this. There were things where kids couldn't see their dad or the mother was keeping them away because the dad had a new girlfriend that they didn't like. This happens all day, every day. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that B. I don't want that B around my kids. It's not up to you to decide who's going to be, unless they're just abusive or crazy, or you fear that they're going to harm the kid. That's something different. But most of us know that's not the case. Most of us know that the reason why a lot of these single moms are not letting their kids see their dad is because they're jealous of the new girlfriend, or they have a problem with the baby daddy or the ex or whoever rejecting them and not wanting them back. So they're going to make the kids suffer. They're not making the man suffer, because here's the thing. If you can't, hurt him physically, then you're going to lash out in other ways. And you're going to use the kid as a weapon. Kids don't ask to be brought into this world, right? But when they come, we have a responsibility as parents to make sure that they have everything that they need, and that's including the other parent, right? You didn't just bring this baby in the world by yourself. Somebody helped. And just because it didn't turn out to the wedding of the year or the life of the year with the white picket fence and the dog in the backyard or whatever, just because you guys didn't stay married for a long period of time, you guys are still parents to this child. There's still a mama, there's still a daddy. So at the end of the day, you have a responsibility to make sure that this child has a relationship with that parent. You can't say stuff like, I don't like the girl he with or whatever, because we know most of us, we're adults. Come on, let's talk as adults. We know it has nothing to do with that child being harmed. It has everything to do with, I don't like that person that he is with. I see this way too often. I have friends and family members going through issues like this where they don't have, there's no relationship with the kid, not because the daddy didn't want one, but because the bitter mother was not allowing that child to see the daddy. So they grow up thinking that the daddy didn't want them. That's what they grow up thinking. They grow up thinking and seeing other kids with their parents, which is rare, unfortunately. But they grow up and they see other kids with their parents, both parents, whether they're together or divorced. They see other kids with a relationship. Yeah, my daddy took me here. My mama took me here. Ain't they divorced? Yeah, they divorced. But, I still see my daddy. My daddy come pick me up and, take me places and buy me things. And so that child, your child, is sitting back looking like that's something that they missed out on when they shouldn't have. Because like I said, a lot of us get so hurt that we decide to use the kids as a weapon. I can't get back at them physically. I can't get back at her physically, but I know that I can get back at her or him through this child. But the only person that's suffering is the child. The adults are not suffering. It's the children that go through these issues. And then you wonder why they get older and have to seek psychological help for their childhood. And I know there's other factors of people's life that makes them act a certain way or act out a certain way. But we do know parenting is a huge issue in how some of these kids grow up and they start acting out as a teenager or even as an adult. If you grow up, and I know many of you have, if you grow up thinking that a parent didn't want you, you're going to feel a certain way. I grew up in a single parent home and, I felt a certain way when my mom and my dad got divorced. But I'm going to tell you one thing my mama didn't do. My mama never badmouthed my dad. I was able to see my dad whenever I wanted to. Now, whether he wanted to see me was another story. But my mom didn't say you couldn't see your dad or this and that. And my dad paid child support like he was supposed to. There's a lot of other variables. And I talk about that in a different podcast. But I love my dad now. I mean, my dad have an awesome relationship for years. So all I'm saying is stop using your kids as weapons because that's the only leverage that you have. Those kids are the ones that's going to suffer. And as much as people say they love their kids and I'll die for my kids and nobody better not touch my kids, because that's the thing. You will not let a person in the streets abuse your kid. I don't care if it's the school or wherever they at. If you get a phone call from your child and they say, Mom or Daddy, so-and-so and did this to me, you on the next thing smoking. Go defend your child. But what if your child needs to be defended from you? Let that sink in. What if if your child needs to be defended and protected from you, from your abuse, by not making the right decisions and trying to, going back to the little girl with her hair getting cut in public and humiliated in public. She needs defending from her own parent. And there's many of videotapes out there. There's many court cases. There's many instances you can watch. You can go on YouTube right now and watch a video of just some foolishness. And the little child is in the middle. The mother yelling at the father yelling at the mother, and the child is in the middle saying, "Mommy, stop. Daddy, stop." Like I said, these kids don't ask to be brought into this world. None of us. So as parents, we should be held to a certain standard on making sure our kids have all the tools they need. And all the tools ain't just breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's having a father in their life. It's having a mother in their life. Because a lot of mothers and fathers aren't here. Let's be honest. Some are dead and gone. Tragedies happen. There's a lot of us. My mother's not here. There's a lot of us wish we had both of our parents. You know what I'm saying? But to grow up with your parent right in front of you and you can't see them? Come on, people. We definitely have to do better in that department. So in conclusion, who are parents really hurting by using kids as weapons? We all know that people who are hurt and can't beat you up or hurt you physically or even monetarily, they have to find other ways of making you suffer. We're all human, and revenge is a bigger part of our DNA than forgiveness, unfortunately. It takes too much effort to walk away and do the right thing or leave it up to the judicial system. Nah, we got to take action. He ain't pay child support, he won't see his child. She ain't let me see my child, well, I ain't paying child support. Do y'all really think that y'all hurting each other? Or do we do these things only to wait for our children to become adults and tell us how much they despise us for not letting them see the other parent? Or the fact that they have to grow up struggling because there was no child support? Because this is what's going to happen. And I see it way too often. What about the kids being told lies about who their parent really was, only to find out years later that really wasn't the case? Do you think your kids will love and admire you for this or despise you? It's up to you. You're the parent, right? This has been an Unapologetic Relationship Podcast with your host, Jay Riggins, and this episode is called Using Your Kids as Weapons. I hope you truly took something away from this episode to lead you into a happy, healthy relationship, whether it's with your kids, your family, or your significant other. Please check out and make comments on Instagram and Facebook, and you can purchase my book, What a Man Really Wants to Say About Relationships, Revised and Unapologetic, on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and my website, and all the other links will be in the show notes. And be sure to check out the Unapologetic Relationship Podcast every other Saturday, everywhere you get your podcast. Please tune in and become a regular subscriber to the Unapologetic Relationship Podcast with Jay Riggins, and trust me, you won't be disappointed. Thanks for listening, and please stay unapologetically you.